Prabhu Tishtahana Sadhya Sadhana Kahila Nama Sankirtana Kara Upadesha Kaila Prabhu, the Lord, Tishta, satisfied, Hana, becoming, Satya Sadhana, the objective and the process, Kahila, described, Nama Sankirtan, chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Kara, practice, Upadesh Kaila, gave him the instruction. Translation, the Lord, being satisfied, instructed him about the object of life and the process to attain it. He instructed him that the basic principle of success is to chant the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Krishna consciousness movement is based upon this instruction of Lord Chaitanya, that one must chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly and according to the prescribed principles. We simply ask our Western students to chant at least 16 rounds a day, but sometimes we find that they fail to chant even 16 rounds, and instead they bring many austere books and worshipping methods that divert their attention in so many ways. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult is based upon the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Lord Chaitanya first advised Tapana Mishra to fix his mind in this chanting, and we, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, must strictly follow the advice of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada. You know, many people, they ask us, or they wonder, where and when did this chanting first begin? So we explain to them that history recalls that this massive spiritual revolution took place in India, 500 years ago, and it was centered around this chanting. And it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as the Golden Avatar, who set this great spiritual revolution in motion. And he traveled all over India, from the mountains to the oceans. He turned this congregational chanting into a mass movement. And it could be seen, there was like hundreds and thousands of people just chanting and dancing through the streets, towns and villages, just caught up in this tidal wave of ecstatic emotion. So that Sankirtan movement, inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya, it's still flowing like a great river, inundating this entire world. And this ISKCON movement is carrying the flowing waters of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And that special person who revolutionized this chanting around the world was our founder, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. As we know, in 1965, at the age of 69 years, he left Calcutta on the steamship, and he had very little with him at the time. I think he said he had $8 in money, a bag of muesli, and he had a couple of trunks of books. Amazing. He came all the way from India to America with so little to try and establish this Hare Krishna movement and also spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya worldwide. He had no institutional backing, no support awaiting him. I mean, anyone else, when you think about it, would be afraid to go, wouldn't they? To a completely foreign land, no money, in their old age. I mean, no one would go. But he went there and fearlessly carried out the order of his guru and fulfilled the desire of Lord Chaitanya that this Sankirtan movement would spread all over the world. So he opened his first temple in New York City, and he began teaching people about awakening their love for the Supreme Lord through this chanting process. Although at that time, we know the younger generation of the 60s, they were very disarrayed, confused, fallen, addicted to so many bad habits. Srila Prabhupada had full faith that the holy name could change them, could purify them, could uplift them, make them into sincere devotees. He had complete faith in the holy name, like that. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a nice verse that tells us that great philanthropic souls, they travel on the earth on behalf of the Supreme Lord to show compassion to the fallen souls who are averse to the sense of subordination to the Lord. So Krishna sent his own man, his very dear, intimate devotee, Srila Prabhupada, to this world. He came to fulfill Lord Chaitanya's prophecy that in every town and village on the earth, the glories of the holy name will be chanted. And that has come to pass. I mean, wherever you go in the world, Russia, Europe, America, Africa, Pacific Islands, people are chanting. There's devotees there, chanting the holy name, doing Sankirtan. So we know Srila Prabhupada, he was completely empowered by Lord Chaitanya to fulfill this great mission. You know, on arriving in America, Srila Prabhupada said, so many Indian leaders, they come to America saying, we are a poor country and America is a rich country. Please, give us rice, give us money, give us this and that. Srila Prabhupada said, I haven't come to beg though. I've come to give. With material vision, us were thinking, we are a poor country, India is a poor country, we need help, and America's a rich country, they should help us. But actually, Srila Prabhupada was saying that actually India is a rich country because transcendental knowledge is there. And America, very poor country. Because they're missing this Vedic knowledge and the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and this holy name of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada had that transcendental vision to see that although there's a sufficient supply of everything in this world, there's a shortage of Krishna consciousness or God consciousness. And this alone was the cause of all the problems of the world. Widespread moral degradation, environmental problems, economic problems. The list just goes on and on and on. And because a completely Krishna conscious person like Srila Prabhupada had this vision, they become completely overwhelmed with compassion. They just cannot tolerate seeing the living entities suffering due to separation from their Lord. It says a pure Vaishnava, their heart bleeds to see the suffering of the conditioned souls. Therefore, they're willing to personally suffer great difficulty and hardship and even personal inconvenience in their struggle to help us reconnect our relationship with the Supreme Lord. And Srila Prabhupada was no exception. We read about him in America, in New York City, in the freezing cold. Actually, in some of his remembrances, he says, I was just like a homeless person, just wandering the streets. So sometimes wondering even where I was going to find my next place to live. So why did Prabhupada do that? He did it because he loves us. This is the pure devotee's reflection of his pure love for Krishna. This is reflected into this world. It is complete compassion for all living entities. Actually, 5,000 years ago, Krishna himself took a vow. He took a vow that he would appear in this age and deliver the fallen conditioned souls of Kali Yuga. At that time, before he departed from this world, it was Narada Muni. Narada Muni, he's a transcendental spaceman. He's always traveling around and the universe. So he was observing the symptoms of this fallen age, because the Kali Yuga was just starting to kick in. Now he was observing how religion was being lost, people were becoming more and more materialistic and bewildered by the material energy. So Narada thought, now what are we going to do about this world? Then he thought, I must bring Krishna to Kali Yuga. Only he has the power to establish religious principles in this age. So what did Narada do? He went to Dwarka to see Krishna personally. On arrival, Krishna asked him, "Oh sage, you look very sad. Tell me what's in your heart. You are dearer to me than my very life. And when I see you unhappy, it makes me so unhappy." So Narada said, "Oh Lord, as I travel through this universe, I do not hear your name. People have forgotten you. True religion is being lost. And soon you will leave this world and return to Goloka Vrindavan. In the spiritual, what's going to happen to this world? What's going to happen to the people of this world of Kali, in this Kali Yuga?" So Krishna, he smiled. He smiled and he said, "Oh great sage, I vow that I will descend in Kali Yuga. I will take the mood and colour of Srimati Radharani. I will have a golden form. I will come and manifest the Sankirtan movement and give to the people of Kali Yuga Krishna Prem, love of Godhead. I will take this Harinam Sankirtan all over India. And my Senopati Bhakta. Senopati Bhakta means the commander-in-chief of the Vaishnavas, which he was referring to Srila Prabhupada. He will take this, he will move unrestrictedly all over the world and take this Harinam Sankirtan all over the world. So, Prabhupada's appearance was predicted by Krishna 5,000 years ago. Because then Krishna instructed Narada. He said, "Please travel all over the creation and tell everyone to incarnate in Bengal. We will flood the world with Harinam Sankirtan." So we know everyone came. So many people came. Even Radharani came as Garuda Pandit, Balaram and all the cowherd boys came. So many people, Narada went there. He travelled all over the creation to invite everyone to join Sri Chaitanya Sankirtan mission. Some came from the spiritual world, some came from the heavenly planets, some joined on the earth. Yes. So one of the goals of the Hare Krishna movement is we want to try and get as many people as possible chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. We'd like to see the whole surface of the globe just overflooded with this chanting. Why? Because we know that this will make everyone very, very happy. This chanting alone will pacify everyone's mind, purify everyone's heart, and re-establish real peace and harmony in this world. Everyone will derive the greatest benefit by awakening their natural love, not only for the Supreme Lord, but it'll awaken our natural love for each other. We see there's so much trouble in the world, so much, it's the age of hypocrisy and quarrel, so many people quarreling, individuals, families, husbands and wives, nations. So Lord Chaitanya, he gave us this perfect peace formula which can actually unite the world in peace and harmony. And we're experiencing it here right now at this Shravanam Kirtanam festival. When we all come together and chant for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, our hearts are totally united to give pleasure to Krishna. So this is bhakti. This is devotional love. When we put Krishna in the center, we all come together and chant, we naturally become united as loving brothers and sisters. We may have different opinions, we may have different natures, we may have different bodies, we may come from different backgrounds, we may come from different parts of the world. Even we may have different, some may have even different philosophies of ideology or ideologies. But when we come together in kirtan or chanting the names of Krishna, we'll become united to please Krishna. And all those differences, they disappear. This devotional chanting, actually, given to us by Lord Chaitanya, has the power to unite the world as one loving family. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita how we're all eternal living souls. But we're caught in this reincarnation cycle. Taking birth among the 8,400,000 species of life. We don't know how long we've been here. We may have been here for tens of thousands of lifetimes. Who knows? But due to this long association with this very powerful, deluding material energy, what's happened is our original pure spiritual consciousness has been covered over and is lost. That's why we cannot see clearly, in essence, who we are and how we're being controlled by this powerful, deluding material energy. However, this chanting creates a very powerful sound vibration that we pick up in our ears, it goes down to our hearts, it revives our lost consciousness. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has been glorified as the most munificent incarnation of the Lord. Because he is distributing to one and all, here in this material world, the hidden treasure of Garuda Govinda. And what is that hidden treasure of Garuda Govinda? It's the Premanam. The name that gives prema, pure love for Krishna. So this is not everyday chanting. It's not common chanting or just some normal kirtan. Lord Chaitanya has brought this great festival of Garuda Govinda, Premanam Sankirtan. He's given us the elevator by which we can achieve pure love for Krishna. And it's only by his causeless mercy that we can have it. Otherwise, we can't have it. He made the impossible possible. Yes. And this devotional chanting is so special. And it's also so amazing and mystical, isn't it? We find that we can, some people on Harinam, they say to us, you guys, you always sing the same song. Can't you sing a different song? But we tell them, we find that we can go on chanting this same mantra repeatedly. We can go on chanting this same mantra day after day, year after year, repeatedly. And it never becomes stale. It always remains fresh and new. Yes. And the more we chant, what happens? The more our hearts become purified. And our taste for chanting, it just goes on, increasing more and more. It becomes like a stream of sweet nectar, just giving us so much pleasure. So this is because the transcendental names of Krishna, they're not material sounds, they're spiritual sounds that come from the spiritual world. Transcendental sounds. Actually, the holy name of Krishna is Krishna himself. And when we associate with Krishna, by that close association, our hearts become purified. Our natural love for Krishna becomes awakened. We read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Haridas Thakur, the Namacharya, the Acharya for the chanting of the holy name. And he had many beautiful prayers. There's one beautiful prayer Haridas Thakur prays. Oh my dear Lord, there is no vow like chanting your holy name. There's no knowledge superior to it. No meditation comes anywhere near it. No penance is equal to it. Nothing is as potent and powerful as your holy name. This chanting is the greatest act of piety, the supreme refuge. It is the pinnacle of devotion, the heart's joyous proclivity and attraction, the best form of remembrance of you. O my Lord, your holy name has appeared solely for the benefit of all living entities, as their Lord and Master, their supreme worshipable object, and their supreme guide and mentor. Then Haridas prays, O my Lord, we have reasonably judged your holy name to be higher than the highest. Therefore we chant your holy name. So we see this is the mission of Lord Chaitanya. I mean, in this materialistic age of Kali Yuga, people are not so spiritually inclined or even religiously inclined. Therefore, Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He gave this very simple and sublime process that everyone and anyone can easily follow. That is, chanting this Hare Krishna mantra and dancing and feasting on Krishna Prasad and hearing about the glories from this Vedic knowledge. Only when anyone and everyone can easily follow this simple process. And anyone who follows this process, this very simple and sublime process, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, can attain spiritual perfection. Not in thousands of lifetimes, like many other yoga processes, but in this one very lifetime, one can actually purify one's existence, develop love for Krishna, and at the end of this life, return to our real home in the spiritual world, where we can live eternally with Krishna and his eternal associates. Yes. So yes, by following this process under the guidance of the spiritual master, we can attain spiritual perfection and also ultimate happiness. Everyone's looking for the formula for perfect happiness. You know, in Krishna consciousness, we learn about this happiness, this special happiness, which is even beyond the worldly happiness of the mind and the body. A happiness which is eternal and ever increasing. Anandam buddhi vardhanam. It's the happiness of the soul, the happiness within. And it was Lord Chaitanya who showed us. He showed us by his personal example how to achieve this happiness. How we can always remain happy in any condition of life and never feel the stresses of this world. By always, as much as possible, daily chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. And also dancing in the kirtan. See, once Prabhupada said when you're chanting in the kirtan, if you're not feeling the ecstasy, and start dancing and chanting, and then you'll feel it, the ecstasy kicking in. Yes. Therefore, in Bhakti Yoga, we learn, if we want to always feel satisfied and happy and peaceful and fulfilled in life, we have to arrange our life in such a way that we have a good balance between our spiritual practices and our everyday material affairs. It means every day we have to strategize how I can balance my time. Because generally people are very busy, with family and kids and working and so many things. So every day we have to strategize how we can balance our time, how I can fulfill my material duties in life and still have spare time for japa meditation and chanting and hearing spiritual topics. This is an important part of reclaiming our spiritual freedom. And also, it's an important part of helping us to always remain happy and fulfilled in life. Yes, free from all anxieties. Ultimately, without the holy name, if you think about it, we would have no spiritual life. no real happiness, no intimacy with Krishna, no peace of mind, and also no ability even to control our senses. This holy name is so important. This chanting, devotional chanting, is itself, it's a healing energy that calms and purifies our consciousness. It just balances our body, mind and soul. It cleanses us of all selfish desires, removes all unhappiness, bestows inner enlightenment, corrects all deep-rooted imbalances, removes all coverings of illusion. It brings us to our natural state of perfect, you could say, equilibrium, is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, without Krishna's holy name, we should understand that we would be lost, miserable, spiritually weak, even destitute in life. You know, just recently we were blessed by Mahatma Prabhu, who did a 3-day japa workshop here at HG Garuda. And it was very inspirational. And it was, I know myself, I always thought I was such a good chanter. But when I attended that japa workshop, I realized, wow, actually there's a lot of improvement I need to do on my japa. He mentioned in that retreat how sometimes we take the holy name for granted. Yes. We take it for granted and we place more importance on other things in our life, or even, we could say, more desirable things in our life. It means we kind of disconnect ourselves from chanting. And he said we live in our own little mental dream world. It means we don't strategize and make time to chant our rounds, basically. And as we see that, some devotees have trouble with this. And that's one reason this could be, is because, you know, I simply don't like chanting enough, and therefore chanting takes a back seat in my life. And this might lead to even compromise on our quality of chanting. And we become, you know, he calls it a multitasking chanter. Anyone heard a multitasking chanter? And I know that I'm guilty of this sometimes at times. It means chanting, you know, chanting while I'm driving my car, while I'm cooking, when I'm reading, when I'm talking to people, while I'm shopping, while I'm surfing the internet, sightseeing. Mahatma Prabhu even mentioned he knows devotees in America who they chant their japa while they're watching television. My God. And of course, sometimes we just let the mind just take us here, there and everywhere, don't we? It means that I can be chanting Krishna's holy name without even being aware that I'm chanting. Or if I can really feel anything in my heart, or be aware that Krishna is there in the form of his holy name. Yeah. Yeah, the mind may tell us, you know, just chanting and hearing is not very interesting. And suddenly we jump to thinking of so many things. No, our lips keep moving with the mantra, you know, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Haven't we disconnected ourselves from the chanting? Does anyone experience this phenomenon? Your lips are moving, you're chanting, but you're disconnected from the actual mantra. You know, Burjan Prabhu, he talks about this a lot in his holy name retreats that he does in Govardhana. I think he also did some in Melbourne, didn't he? He did some retreats down there, japa retreats, yeah. How what ruins our japa more than anything and drags us into attention as we believe the mind's advertisements. We're easily convinced that we must follow every mental impulse, every thought right now, even when we're doing something as vital as chanting the holy names. And he explains in those retreats that it means we accept the mind as the self or our authority, and we reactively try to appease it. And which means we become befooled. So better we neglect the mind and don't take it seriously and try to realize in reality the mind's unending presentations are actually really insignificant and unimportant in relation to our eternal well-being. Yes. And of course we should remember that we have the freedom of choice by Krishna's mercy to bring the mind back from its wandering and fix it on hearing the mantra. Yes, we have that choice. We can do that. And there's one easy weapon by which the mind can be conquered, and that is neglect. The mind is always telling us, do this, do that. Therefore we should be very expert at disobeying the mind's orders. And, Bhajam Prabhu talks about this in his Japan retreat. It means gradually the mind should be trained to obey the orders of the soul. It's not that one should simply obey the orders of the mind. And when the mind understands that we're serious in our task of simply focusing on the holy name, what happens? It will relax and cooperate with our desire. And in that retreat, actually, and also Mahatma's retreat, they talk about this, how one technique for capturing the racing mind and focusing it on the holy name is to slow the mind down and give it a simple task. And what is that simple task? It means instead of focusing on chanting 16 rounds, make the mind's task easy by simply focusing on one mantra, the mantra you're chanting right now. Just focus on that. Just make the mind's task very simple. And this is one way in which you can capture the racing mind and slow it down. We should understand that chanting japa is not simply an invitation to the mind to wander wherever it likes or chooses. Mahatma Prabhu mentioned in that japa retreat here that bad, inattentive chanting, what it produces is less Krishna consciousness, which produces more bad chanting, which leads to something even worse than bad chanting. What could be worse than bad chanting? No chanting. And so, also if we're not really inclined to follow the process of Krishna consciousness seriously, the process that Prabhupada's given us, or we are committing too many offences, we're chanting inattentively, even if we chant simply mechanically and robotically, our chanting can naturally become just boring, tasteless, troublesome, and uninteresting. It becomes basically something I don't want to do. So we should always remember that our Krishna consciousness is ultimately our most precious and valuable asset. People talk about their assets. I've got the house, I've got the investments. But for devotees, we understand our most precious asset is our Krishna consciousness. And therefore we must, whatever is necessary, whatever adjustment we make in our life, we have to protect our most valuable asset. We have to nurture it. Yes. Unfortunately, Maya, who is manifested as this very powerful deluding material energy, she's a very clever thief. She's going to try and steal away this most precious asset of ours. Steal away our Krishna consciousness, our spiritual life. And this can happen if we become lazy in regards to our spiritual practices. Now, it is said that if trying to make spiritual advancement in this materialistic age with our material conditioning, it's like rowing a boat upstream against the current. You imagine it, you're rowing a boat up against the current, so what happens if you slacken off? You immediately start going backwards. Yes. So sometimes mind will somehow or other try to convince you to deviate from the principles of sadhana and make you feel it's all right. Make you feel and think that it's okay. In this way you become spiritually lazy. You may think, well, I've only chanted halfway rounds today. I'm still a devotee. I don't feel that I'm in Maya. Maya tells you. Maya speaks to you in your mind. It's all right. You're still in Krishna consciousness. And Maya is speaking in your mind. And what happens is gradually and subtly, Maya can make you feel that you can compromise the principles of Krishna consciousness and you'll be okay. In this way, Maya can gradually take you away from the association of devotees. And then one day, one fine day, you may wake up and you're not even a devotee anymore. Unfortunately, this happens. I mean, so many nice devotees have left our movement due to lethargy or laziness in their personal spiritual practice. They become so enthusiastic for so many things in life, but not so enthusiastic to do their sadhana. They start minimizing their japa, start to compromise their spiritual standards, not caring about their spiritual advancement. However, if we really value our loving relationship with Krishna, we will give our japa chanting all our physical and mental energy and show Krishna how important it means to us to connect with him personally during our chanting and feel and experience his loving reciprocation. I mean, this holy name really does work. And if we chant the holy name the way the holy name is meant to be chanted, we will find and experience this chanting to be so real. It's so living, vibrant, active and dynamic. It gives us life. Therefore, we have to develop faith in the value and power of the holy name and try to realize that when we're chanting, we are there with Radha and Krishna. And therefore we must welcome, show them proper respect by being fully aware of their presence. So this means we should chant attentively and fully focus on hearing the holy name in a mood of calling out to Krishna. And not just we're chanting mechanically and robotically and our mind is wandering here and there, but we're in this mood chanting, calling out to Krishna, please let me serve you, please let me love you, please accept me, I need help. I've got so many lifetimes of this material conditioning, I'm battling with this material illusory energy, I need help. And chanting in the proper mood. Lord Chaitanya taught us in his Sri Shastika that we should chant the holy name in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself low on the straw in the street, devoid of all sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respects to others. In this mood, we can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Yes. So if we're sincerely desirous of making tangible spiritual advancement, we will naturally want to chant well, the best we can, and feel Krishna's presence and relish the nectar of the holy name and be servant of the holy name. And then Krishna will reciprocate with us and give us those drops of nectar for which we're always anxious. Also Mahatma, in one day he was talking in this japa retreat about how our japa is also affected by what we do when we're not chanting japa, which means that we need to live our lives in a way that supports and nourishes our chanting. He calls it the holy name lifestyle. We have to live the holy name lifestyle, live the pure spiritual and godly life. I mean, the holy name lifestyle really means to simply follow the process of Krishna consciousness that Prabhupada's given us. Yes. Chanting our rounds, associating with devotees nicely, without any offences, readings from a Bhagavatam, trying to sacrifice some energy in Krishna service. You know, although we are very, very tiny souls and we're very fallen, we're not hopeless. Our hope is in the mercy of the holy name of Krishna. And to receive that special mercy, we have to place ourselves in the hands of the holy name and give up any sense of being the independent, supreme enjoyer and controller and proprietor of this material world. We have to listen carefully to the chanting and just allow the holy name to bathe our mind, to bathe our intelligence, to bathe our false ego, to bathe our material consciousness in the nectar of Krishna's name. You know, we have no real qualifications. We only have Krishna to depend on as we try to chant his holy name purely. And to attract Krishna's mercy, we first must realize the need for the holy name's mercy. That we are completely dependent on Krishna's independent desire to offer us that mercy. You know, we're bound by the neck, by the chains of mind. Our material consciousness is filled with so many things, hopes, aversions, anxieties. Therefore, our only real hope is to have full faith in the holy name. So we may take shelter of the holy name as we engage ourselves in loving devotional service to our Guru and Krishna. Now, Srila Prabhupada said we should chant the holy name like a child cries for its mother. Yes, which means when we chant Hare Krishna, we're in that mood of crying out to Krishna, begging Krishna, please accept me, please uplift me. I have fallen into this material world. I'm suffering due to separation from you. You know, we want Krishna to extend his hand to us, lift us up, bring us close to him, bring us to the material, from the material platform to the spiritual platform to be with him. So while we're chanting, we should, as a child, cause that we're reaching out with our hearts to Krishna. Yes. You know, Lord Gauranga is calling that I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, who else is your friend? I have brought the medicine for destroying the illusion of Maya. Now beg for this holy name and take it. So we must call out sincerely from the heart, from the soul, because we are aware that our need for shelter is as urgent as a fish's need for water, to breathe, to survive. So if we can learn to beg for the Mahamantra, we would have learned to take shelter of the holy name. And begging requires that we approach the holy name without false ego and complete humility, thinking ourselves lower than the straw on the street. It means chanting with very sincere feelings, seeking the holy name's shelter and mercy. You know, in Bhakti Yoga, we learn that to see all obstacles and difficulties and troubles in our life, and inevitably as you step onto the spiritual path, there will be those things present, obstacles, difficulties, troubles. But a devotee, he sees us simply as part of our spiritual journey, teaching us the lessons we need to learn, the stepping stones to take us places in our spiritual life where we never would have gone without them. It's through all these tests that Krishna gives us, and even obstacles and struggles and difficulties, that we gain so much strength, we get so much purification, we make so much spiritual advancement. Generally when the need is visible and difficulties arise, most people, they do take shelter in this world, but they don't take shelter of God. They take shelter of their own minds, their own intelligence. They take shelter of intoxication, gross material sense gratification. Or they take shelter of the fallible soldiers of so many people who can't even really help them. But in Krishna consciousness, we learn that ultimately all obstacles that come into our life are there to help us, to inspire us, to keep company with people who have strong faith, to cultivate our inner spiritual strength through philosophy, reading Prabhupada's books and spiritual practices, to inspire us to keep to take full shelter of Krishna's holy name. Therefore it is said, this Hare Krishna mantra is actually our best friend. Yes, our best friend, and is actually the close friend of all living entities. Because this holy name of Krishna is Krishna himself, who is the greatest well-wisher and friend of one and all. So whenever we want him, he's always there for us, especially when we're facing these challenges and tests and difficulties in life. He's always there to give us support and shelter, comfort. We need only just open our heart and just chant his name. And he's fully present there in the form of his holy name, just lovingly supporting us and lifting us up, uplifting us, protecting us, inspiring us just to keep on following the process of Krishna consciousness. Now he is truly our greatest well-wisher and dearest friend. It is said that the quality of a Vaishnava or a Vaishnavi is their taste for chanting the holy name of Krishna. This means that we can actually measure our own spiritual advancement in devotional service by how much we're attached to chanting, how much we're attached to chanting Krishna's holy name, how much taste we have for chanting the holy name, and how nicely we chant, and of course how purely we chant. It means that the mark of a true Vaishnava or Vaishnavi is their chanting, which is the means by which they purify their heart and please Krishna. So Krishna, he's offering himself. He's offering his love to us through his holy name. Therefore we should accept his merciful gesture and chant, continue to chant the holy name, even when we're experiencing the greatest difficulties in life. Krishna, and he will personally reciprocate with us. That Krishna is personally reciprocating with us and assisting us on our spiritual journey. It gradually becomes more and more apparent as we mature in Krishna consciousness. Krishna lets you know from within your heart that he is present right there now as your dearest friend. He's always been there. And he'll always be present there in the future as our dearest friend and well-wisher. When we start perceiving Krishna's affection for us, naturally our love for him will increase. Krishna is present in his holy name, and when we're eager to chant his holy name, Krishna becomes eager to reveal himself to us. In the intermediate stage, our chanting is based on, duties and vows and inspiration from devotee association. But as we mature, when the real taste for chanting begins to flow and is ever increasing, and when it becomes more advanced, one just sincerely and continuously attempts to chant attentively without offense. This is called the Namashraya platform, which is the platform of finding true shelter at the feet of the holy name, which is our only real shelter in this world. As we advance in Krishna consciousness, we will soon realize that our only hope to attain our goal is to take shelter of the holy name. And we see that devotees on the level of Nishtha have taken full shelter of Krishna and his holy name. Even though their chanting might be not completely pure, they still may be plagued by lingering and subtle, even gross desires for things of this world. But rather than cultivate those desires, a devotee on this Nishtha level, he decries such desires, and he gains strength by deep shelter in the mercy of Krishna's holy name. It means their humility and dependence on the holy name increases, and their desire to serve Krishna increases. Thus the mercy of Krishna's holy name just flows to such a sincere chanter and purifies their desires. So the conclusion is that by developing a loving desire to serve Krishna, we subdue all material desires for sense gratification. Therefore we must call out sincerely from the heart, from the soul, because we are aware of the need for Krishna's mercy. When we learn to beg for the holy name, we have learned to take shelter of the holy name. But this begging requires complete humility. We have to chant with very sincere feelings, just seeking the holy name shelter. And we have to realizing that I do not belong to myself, actually. I am Krishna's servant. That's who I am. My body belongs to him. I belong to him. Everything I have is all his. He is my protector and maintainer. Whatever he wants from me, I will do. I have no separate will. Yes. So one should embrace this mood of surrender, and thinking oneself very fallen and insignificant, take full shelter of the holy name of Krishna for Krishna's pleasure. And it is said, we cannot capture the holy name simply by chanting or vibrating the syllables of the holy name with our tongue. The holy name can only be realized when we approach the holy name with an intense serving attitude, which means in the background there must be our spiritual realization and devotion backing the name. It means if we're cultivating this devotional mood of giving to Krishna, we have to want to give to Krishna, sacrifice our time, our energy, our wealth, our words, whatever we have in our possession, our very life in his service, for his pleasure. The holy name will mercifully dance on our tongue and in our heart. The holy name will come down by his grace, being attracted by our pure serving nature. Because Krishna can appear anywhere, in any form, in any place, in any sound. For one who's very serious about developing pure love for Krishna, we read this in the Vedic literatures, that one must chant the holy name purely, avoiding the 10 offenses and chanting completely surrender to the holy name. So the question we may ask, but how can I counteract the effects of my offenses to the holy name? Because inevitably I must be committing some offenses, even if it's just inattentive chanting. And it is said that the answer is we must cry in the heart. You have to cry in the heart, oh my Lord, I am the greatest offender. You'll never find such an offender as me. I've committed so many offenses. You just have to cry and admit this before Krishna and his holy name. Now this admittance is required. This crying in the heart is said to be the means to destroy Namaparad, cry and humbly and incessantly chant Hare Krishna with a heart full of feelings of humility, with a heart designed to surrender, with a heart sincerely designed to serve the Lord for His pleasure, with a heart begging to be accepted, with a heart genuinely feeling separation from the Lord. This sincere crying of such a sincere chanter, what it does, it quickly reaches the Lord's ear. It moves the Lord's heart. Thus the Lord reciprocates and blesses such a sincere person. So it is said that such chanting will lead to the destruction of the 10 offences and attainment of Krishna Prem, pure love for Krishna. Which means the merciful holy name will shower His mercy on you and all your offences will be destroyed. When Krishna, vibrates his flute in the forests of Vrindavan, that fascinatingly beautiful sound, it just spreads in all directions, captivating the hearts of all living entities, moving and non-moving. Read this in the Krishna book. Upon hearing that sweet sound of Krishna's flute, everyone, the birds, the cows, the bees, the trees, the mountains, the clouds, they immediately lose all composure. They simply become totally absorbed in remembering Krishna. Remembering His all-attractive, beautiful form, His glorious pastimes, His sweetness of love. Similarly, when we chant and hear Krishna's pure holy name, we also become immediately captured by Krishna. This holy name is so powerful that immediately when we chant it, it attaches us to Krishna and we become attracted to Him and attached to Him, and everything about Him we become attracted. His name, quality, forms, pastimes. It means we become transported to that spiritual realm where Krishna resides in His most sublime form. So this chanting awakens awareness of our spiritual nature and our true spiritual love for Krishna that just grows and blossoms in our hearts. So this indeed is the real fruit of chanting, the ultimate perfection of yoga, and it's the ultimate benediction. When the sweet holy name of Krishna, filled with all spiritual potencies, dances on our tongue, we will simply want to go on chanting, constantly tasting that sweetness. Just like in the evening, when the kirtan is supposed to finish, people want to keep chanting. They don't want to stop. They're tasting that sweetness of the holy name. Mahatma, he mentioned this in the, he said when you really got a taste for chanting is when you finish your 16 rounds, you want to keep chanting. You're not thinking, done my 16, take a break. You just want to keep chanting. They said when we merge in Krishna Kirtan, the chanting of the Krishna's holy name, we merge into the transcendental ocean of love for Krishna. Now we enjoy the name dances, we all dance, the whole universe dances, and the treasure of love of God dances, and all illusion just disappears. So glories to Krishna's transcendental touchstone, the holy name, Sri Harinam Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shravanam Kirtanam Festival ki, Jai Guru Premanandi.